Hello, welcome to the interview on France 24. Every Friday night at 9:30 p.m. sharp, 30 million Egyptians drop whatever they're doing in their homes, in the cafes of Cairo, and they watch this. Now, my guest today, Bassem Youssef, is the superstar host. I think that word applies, Bassem, of that show. That is called El Bernameg in Egyptian, which means the program. You have not just pushed the limits on what can be said on television about powerful politicians. You have bulldozed them. They are gone. And you have been called, you actually look like him a little bit, the Jon Stewart of Egypt. And I'm just going to tell our viewers that today he appears in Time magazine on its top 100 list of the most influential people in the world. 2 years ago, you were a heart surgeon, pretty unknown in Egypt. Today, half the country, you can't walk down a street without people swamping you. Unbelievable. And Jon Stewart, the host of The Daily Show, calls you his hero.
This is, first of all, I mean, I'm glad to be here. Of course, the clip that you have shown, it's not really all cartoon. That's actually... we have a real show, so
right. He also appears on his own show.
Yes, it's actually to be mentioned with Jon Stewart in the same sentence is an honor, because I was just a fan. I still am watching his show for 10 years. Now suddenly I'm on a list that he's writing the entry himself. So of course this is a huge transformation. It's a little bit scary. It's actually
You've been on his show, by the way.
I've been on his show, and I'm going actually to be appear again on Wednesday, the 24th of April. So for me, this is a huge transformation. The fact that so many people watch the show, so many people follow the show, it puts a lot of pressure, and it kind of humbles you, because you see, like, the first thing that comes to your mind is like, how long is it gonna last? You don't know, because it's, nothing lasts.
It feels a little, perhaps, almost supernatural right now. I want to actually just share with our viewers, you mentioned that Jon Stewart wrote the entry for you in this Time magazine survey. I want to show them an excerpt from what he wrote about you. If we could bring that up on the screen. He said, Bassem Youssef does my job in Egypt. The only real difference between him and me is that he performs his satire in a country still testing the limits of its hard-earned freedom, where those who speak out against the powerful still have much to fear. He's basically saying you have a much harder job than he has, because you have a lot of people watching you and not laughing in Egypt.
Well, the thing is, the fact that 30 million people watch the show, it's a little bit sort of a paradox, because even the people who hate me, they still watch it. As a matter of fact, the next day in some of the religious Salafist show, they play the whole episode and they comment on it.
You've become a talking point on
yes, so basically, people who don't watch my show, they get to watch it on the channel, on the right-wing channels. And people get
and that's how they get to see it.
Yeah, and they get to see it. So it's I mean, but a lot of them actually watch it and they giggle and they laugh in between each other, and then they come up the next day to attack me.
That's what I was going to ask you, because Bassem, what really, I guess, changed, the turning point for you was the fall of Hosni Mubarak and then the election of Mohamed Morsi as the president. Most of your satire is directed against Morsi, poking fun of Morsi, and of Islam.
No, I have to correct you on two things. First of all, there was a...
Neither one is correct. It's all wrong.
First of all, there was a whole year after the fall of Hosni Mubarak where the SCAF was in charge.
The
military council.
Okay.
And I was criticizing them. I was criticizing
not
people in power.
Morsi, but the high...
Yeah, political satire is always directed to people in power and to the right wing. This is something that is all right. Second of all, you mentioned that I criticize Islam. I do not criticize Islam because I'm a Muslim. I'm a practicing Muslim. I'm a devout Muslim. What I see is the people who actually hurt Islam and insult Islam is not me, is those people who speak in its name and they give it a bad image. What I do, as a matter of fact, is a way to I fight for my religion, and I fight for my nationality and the Egypt and the Islam that I know that and I love. Islam is not a right-wing extremist form of a political agenda. Islam is something much higher and much more peaceful, and it's those people who spoil it. And I'm here to defend and actually what I think is the real version of Islam.
Interesting. I mean, and yet you're right now, you're a prosecuted man in Egypt. You're under investigation, right? There are several, I believe, correct me. You're being investigated for anti-Islam remarks, anti-Morsi remarks, anti-Pakistani remarks, because you made fun of the Pakistani president's hat.
Spreading rumors.
And spreading atheism as well.
And homosexuality, atheism, and rumors.
What's that about? Wasn't Mohammed Morsi, didn't he guarantee freedom of expression? Isn't he supposed to be an open-minded?
Well, I think that's the same old game that we've used to during Mubarak. The presidency never files things in itself. But there's always, and I'm sure that maybe Dr. Mohammed Morsi himself doesn't file it. But they are responsible about creating this kind of an atmosphere where you can persecute people for their own opinions. So it's not about who filed it; it's who allowed this kind of an atmosphere to happen.
In a sense, I suppose, we were speaking before the show, you don't walk around with bodyguards. Your celebrity, the fact that almost every Egyptian knows you and recognizes you, that protects you.
Yes, because the thing is, if you show your dedication to the people, and if you give them a high quality piece of work, people like appreciate this, and they will protect you, and they will know that they have to protect this kind of freedom of speech and of work. So you give the people what they want, and they will protect you.
What is your approach to satire? I know that's a very broad question, but for instance, Jon Stewart takes clips, then he'll play back another clip and he'll compare things people said. Do you use a similar approach?
Yes, because political satire, a huge part of it is basically showing people how they are messing around and how are they fooling people. So this is it's a very effective way to show people, you know what, politicians are basically people who fool you.
Give me an example here. You said, you were just saying, it's not Mohammed Morsi who files the suit against you, decides, let's go get Bassem. Is there something particular from what you've heard back that has really gotten him mad? Something funny you did on your show, an anecdote?
Like made him personally mad?
Personally, people came back to you. He didn't like that Bassem at all.
Well, people don't come to me and say Bassem Mohammed Morsi doesn't like what you say. I don't get that kind of calls. So I really don't know what makes him mad. Maybe he's watching my show and he's laughing in secret. I don't know.
But the people who are filing this obviously are responding to some sort of climate or perception that you're saying too much.
They're either responding to that climate or being pushed by certain key figures in the Brotherhood.
In the Brotherhood, the Muslim Brotherhood. Do you see yourself in Egypt?
Did you notice I didn't use the word Muslim?
You didn't use Muslim. I added the word Muslim. Good catch.
So it's not about religion. It's like people will always try to implement their own agenda, trying to convince other people that they are holier than you. Nobody is holier than you as person, so they will try to impose themselves as the only representative of a certain dogma. And that has been like throughout history, even right-wing Republicans in the United States. It happens.
Absolutely. I have to ask you, I mean, you have 30 million viewers, I was saying. I don't know if that has gone up or down. That's almost, Egypt has 80 million people.
92.
Is it 92? Yeah. Could I be wrong a little more at this show? There must be tons of Islamists, conservative Islamists, who are tuning into your show. Maybe they're not talking about it.
Yes. As a matter of fact, they are watching it, and many of the young Muslim Brotherhood people, they are watching it and calling me and saying, "Hey, we liked yesterday's show."
So they do say that. They say, so in other words, they watch it and maybe they laugh to themselves at home, but they know that they can't really act as if that's funny when they're among their friends.
Yes, they hide it.
They hide it.
As a matter of fact, for tonight's show, the show I'm going to play, I get clips of people's like, whoever watches this show is a sinner. Whoever watches this show is a is helping and spreading this. And then one of them said, I was watching this show last week, so it's like, Doctor, are you watching it? It's like, I just like watch it just in case he spoke about this. So, and he had this shy laugh as if he did something wrong.
You're going back. You were telling me you're going to be going over to New York from Paris, and you're going to be reappearing on Jon Stewart's show.
Yes, it's as very
honorary guest. Very briefly in the time we have left, it's been 10 months since you were last there. What are you going to talk to him about?
I think we're gonna talk about like, hey, we are, what? I'm in the Time magazine. You're writing about it. So how about like I write about something about you next year? So he has been.
He's been on the list, or has he not been?
He has been on the list on 2005.
2005. He was on the
I
list.
wasn't around to write his profile.
So you two have been, yeah. And you are a heart surgeon, of course. So I guess that you're still a practicing heart surgeon, are you not? Do you still...
I'm a little bit on a sabbatical right now because there's a lot of work involved in this. So I need to kind of focus on the media part.
Clearly. Bassem Youssef, Egypt's most famous, most popular satirist, has gone from heart surgeon to satirist in the span of a couple of years. Thanks very much for being our guest today. Also now on the Time magazine list of the world's 100 most influential people. You've been watching the interview here on Pulse Venkat.